Hey everyone, for today's skill breakdown, I decided to cover Lady Morgawse. Lady Morgawse is a sage, and you recruit her through the story near the end of Act 2 in a decision where you have to choose between either her or Merlin. Now, everyone who's playing this game probably is going to recognize the name Merlin, and that's obviously going to be an extremely attractive choice. But what exactly are you missing out if you pick Merlin over Morgawse? And by the end of this video, you'll see Morgawse actually offers a lot and is a very contentious pick between her and Merlin in terms of which one is better, which one's stronger. They're both very good, and honestly, picking between them I think is one of the hardest choices in the entire game. Starting with Tier 1, we have her basic attack, Strike. Nothing special here, 3 AP, 100% damage. With the first upgrade, you can have it cause Chill, which is very powerful. Increase the damage by 15%. Increase damage against frozen targets, which does synergize well with her upcoming attack. And regain 5 HP whenever she lands a strike. I do normally highly suggest taking this Chilling Touch. The only reason I don't have it is because I have gear on my Morgawse that compensates for not having it. This one is definitely a very good pick. Her second ability is Freezing Attack. For 4 AP, you strike an enemy within melee range, and you will freeze them for 1 turn, a very powerful CC ability. For the upgrades, you can grant it 50% armor breaking, have it apply Vulnerability, have it apply Chill for 2 turns after the Frozen wears off, very good, and reduce the cooldown by 1. For her third ability, we have Thunderbolt, an insane ability only shared by Mordred. 125% weapon damage with very good range, and it ignores cover and armor. Can't be blocked. This is just a great damage dealing ability, as well as a great CC ability if you choose to spec into that. We'll get to that here in a second. For upgrades, you can increase the range by 2, increase the damage by 25%, and have it break armor as well as dealing damage. And this last one, you can actually have it stun for an extra AP cost. Again, I do actually really suggest this one. I just don't have it on this specific Morgawse due to team comp and build choices. For her first passive, Aura Protection, this is fairly standard for sages. +3 unbreakable armor for herself and allies. Reduce incoming damage by 6. Provide 10% physical and mental debuff resist, and extend the range out to 2 tiles. For her last 3 passives, we have All Resistance for +15% to mental and physical debuff, Long Reach for extra range, and Strong Willed for 30% mental debuff resistance. Going into Tier 2, our first ability here is Ice Spikes, a really good ability, a cone that reaches out to 2 tiles. You can actually get a lot of multi-hits with this. The first upgrade gives it a bit more damage. You can reduce its AP cost by 1. You can give it knockback, which is very useful for getting enemies off of her if you don't have her defensives up. And then also giving it chill. Again, this one, very highly recommend. For her defensive, she has an extremely powerful one in the form of Ice Shield. 3 ice plates orbit her and will just fully negate an incoming attack. This doesn't work on AoE abilities or some specific targeted abilities, but physical attacks like archers shooting at her, amazing. Melee units getting up in her business, amazing. With upgrades, we reduce the cooldown by 1, increase the duration the plates last by 1, reduce the cost by 1, and increase the amount of plates you have. So now it is blocking 4 attacks instead of 3, and for a cheap 1 AP, you can pretty much get 100% uptime on this, assuming the plates don't break early. This is an amazing defensive ability. Next, we have Frost Armor, a bit of a defensive/offensive move, a little mixed into one with some damage reflection. Melee attackers suffer 10% of their damage dealt back. Also makes her tankier, giving her 5 more armor. With upgrades, reduce incoming vitality damage by 25%. Gain 6 unbreakable armor against ranged attacks. Enchanted Armor, an additional 10% damage is getting reflected back. And then Hardened, reduce armor loss by 25%. Moving on to Chain Lightning, yet another amazing spell. Can select multiple targets that chain distance off of your previously selected target, allowing you to get the largest spread of multiple targets hit in a single spell compared to any other spell. It does some decent damage, and with the upgrades, you can have it target up to 4 enemies, reduce the AP cost by 2, increase the damage a bit with that 20%, and also have it apply shock. Having shock applied to 4 units that can be extremely far spread out is just so good. Lastly, for passives, Enchanted Weapon for 10% more weapon damage, and Unburdened, reducing cooldowns by 2 when her HP drops to 0. Getting into Tier 3, starting with Ice Wall, an amazing move. A number of different sages have this one. It's solid on all of them. Creating a barrier to help block off a path, make enemies take the long way around, or trap them. As always, you don't really want to take the Vitality upgrade on this, at least with the current stage of the AI being kind of broken when encountering the wall. You want to increase the range at which you can cast them, say for distances. Increase the length to 5. This one's pretty much mandatory if you want to use Ice Wall, as 3 tiles is almost never enough. And then lastly, when the walls break, either you breaking them to freeze a group of enemies or it expiring on its own, it can just get a lot of freezes, which is a very strong CC. Her last active ability in Tier 3, we have Thunderstorm, a huge AoE that doesn't do a lot of damage, but it can provide some immense debuff potential. With the upgrades, I do increase the damage a little bit. I do like my Morgawse being a little more offensive, but the big one here is now it applies shock. And it will reapply it as this ability lasts multiple turns, increasing that duration by 1, increasing that shock uptime, very good, and increasing the AoE size. This is good. You may want to switch the damage into this one depending on how you want to play. Personally, I found its AoE size is plenty big already, so this wasn't a priority for me, but definitely a solid pick if you want to lean more into that rather than damage. Moving on to her Tier 3 passives, first is Master of Lightning, extra damage for her lightning skills. For our upgrades, you get 20% weapon damage against shocked or stunned units. Shock applied by the hero lasts an additional 1 turn, more shock uptime, more debuff control. It's just great. Decreasing the cost of lightning skills by 1 AP, this is very good to get an even cheaper Chain Lightning, and it will help offset the AP cost increase if you choose to spec into the stun for Thunderbolt. And the last one, killing a unit with a lightning skill reduces the cooldown on other lightning skills. Next, we have another elemental passive, Master of Ice. Increase the effectiveness of Freeze and Chill and adds Vitality to Ice Wall. That last part isn't that important. The first upgrade, increase the effectiveness by an additional 10%, so this comes up to 30%. Increase weapon damage for each target that is frozen or chilled. Just increase damage against chilled or frozen targets, and make her immune to Freeze and Chill herself. Now, increasing effectiveness of Freeze and Chill, I would normally take this, especially since I do like leaning into her debuff and crowd control side. However, given the fact that she has access to shock and chilled effects, she can just stack them on one target, and the two of them together will shut down the enemy's turn and just make them skip because they have like 1 AP. And that's even without Master of Ice. So this does sound good, but honestly, if you're taking the shock effects on all of your lightning skills, it just makes this unnecessary. The combination of shock and chilled is more than enough without having to buff the effectiveness of the chill. These last 3 passives are generic to all sages. Wish of Death grants an AP whenever an enemy dies. She does not have to be the one to kill it. Mysticism, when she kills a unit, reduce her cooldowns by 1. She actually can do some good damage, so getting kills with her is actually pretty good odds. Lastly is Divine, regain a good chunk of HP back if it drops to 0. She has such good defensives with Ice Shield and such good crowd control with all of her debuffs. I find her very rarely taking hit point damage, and even more rarely her hit points reaching 0. So as you can see, she is very unique amongst the sages. The other sages lean into support and buffing, things like Inspire. Morgawse takes the complete opposite approach and provides support through debuffing and crowd control. In my opinion, she has the best debuffing and crowd control kit on a single character in the entire game. And her ability to just lock down masses of enemy units on her own is just absurdly strong. It's that combination of chill effects and shock effects that, when putting both of these on a single target, they lose so much AP. Most of the time, they just skip their turn because they don't have enough AP to do anything. If you can get any items to grant her a chill aura, such as this, that just reduces the amount of AP you need to put in for things like ice spikes and your basic strike, allowing her to focus a lot more on her lightning and shock abilities. So I hope you found this video informative and useful, and maybe on your next playthrough, you'll give Morgawse a shot. You 100% will not regret it. As always, thanks for watching.